This is the Education Business Podcast for consultants and business owners providing services in schools. I'm Claire Riley, and I'll be sharing how to start, grow and scale your education business. Spend the holiday season in a way that's going to benefit you. Your holiday season might be 2 days, 1 day, a week, 2 weeks, could even be 3 weeks in a day like mine is. So it's not about the length, it's about thinking about how you can use this period of time to benefit you personally, and then as a result, benefit your business or your business idea going forward. So in January, this is January 2023, I said that I was going to have December off. And it did work out actually. Sometimes I put goals down and I smash them. Sometimes I put goals down and I just don't manage it. Just like you. We're all the same, aren't we? But I thought I would be taking the whole of December off as a holiday, and it didn't pan out that way. Really what I felt I needed was a holiday from Classroom Secrets. But in July, I actually left Classroom Secrets as the CEO and became the chairman. So technically, I kind of had a lot more time off before Christmas in the run-up, if that makes sense. So I did a board meeting in December. But actually, my work then has been about Education Business Club, because in January, I didn't know that creating that space would then give me the ability and passion to be able to restart Education Business Club in the way that I knew would help me and also you. So it is interesting how things come about. So the December month off technically did work out, just not in the way that I was expecting. So this year, my time off is the 3 weeks I'm talking about, not the whole of December off, because it's a different thing. But I'm having just over 3 weeks off because I think it's the timing, to be honest, but the girls' school are having 3 weeks off this year and taking a week off the summer holidays. And so I had a choice to either panic about it or go with it. And I've decided to go with it. Now, with the launch of Education Business Club, I have weighed up, should I be doing some work in that time? I probably will do a little bit of on-the-spot marketing, but everything so far I have planned for now to give me that time off over the period. And as I was reflecting on all of this, and it's usually on my reflections where I get ideas for podcast episodes that I then bring to you, I was thinking about all the different ways we can use our time in the holidays, and how even I have said, oh, I've done it this way this time, or I've done it that way this time. We can change things. I don't really believe there is a set formula for these things, because people will do it different ways and still get success, and other people will do the same thing as someone successful and not be successful themselves. And I had confirmation of that as well. So I follow someone who has an education business. They are in the 8-figure range, and they also do support other education businesses to get there. And one thing that they said really resonated with me. They said, I'm going to teach you what I've learned so you can take inspiration from it to help you in your business. This isn't about me saying do all these set things and it'll be perfect, because that might not work in your business. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly it. And so I was pleased to hear that from somebody who was obviously further ahead, which was nice, because I believe the same thing. I say these things to inspire you, and it's up to you to take from it what you need in this moment. And I often find as well, I can listen to the same book or the same podcast episode more than once. Now, I don't necessarily make a massive habit of that because I believe in not wasting time. But if you really got something from it, or it was quite intense, I might listen to that again, and I will take something different from it depending on the circumstance I'm in then. So it's not necessarily about needing to get loads of information out of it. It's just looking for the insights that matter right now. So with that said, you can make this holiday season whatever you need it to be. So over these last few weeks, I've been thinking about this 3-week period and what I need it to be. Did I need the whole 3 weeks? Was I willing to work in that time? And I did go through a thought process of, well, obviously not in the main week and not in the first week because we're going to Lapland, but the final week, perhaps I could get up early and I could do some marketing activities. And I pondered on that, whether that was the right thing, whether that's what I really needed. Because at the beginning, I didn't feel like I needed a break. But I also know the reality of what it's like, especially in the Christmas holidays. You get lots of last minutes. Do you want to come for tea? Do you want to come round? Do you want to go so-and-so? And then you end up with no time and everything feels stressful and difficult. And I thought, actually, maybe I don't want this and that's okay. And so I then had a look at the plan and thought, oh my word, how am I actually going to get everything done and be able to take this 3-week break? So I've had to really look through that schedule to make sure that it's actually deliverable. I've had to make changes. I've had to cut down to make sure that I can have this time in the 3 weeks. So that's the first thing to think about. Before you even think about what you want out of the time off, how much time off are you going to have? And have you got everything in place to facilitate that? It's important to do that work first. Otherwise, you're just not going to get what you say you're going to give yourself. And we shouldn't lie to ourselves because it causes problems with trusting ourselves, with believing we can do things. So look at the time off that you actually want. So for me, it was the 3 weeks. Then look at, have you got everything in place? Do you need to cut anything down to make that possible? So for me, I am like the queen of compartmentalization. So there have been a few moments this week where I have just zoned out and Ed's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I'm zoning out. But there are so many things going on that I'm trying to prep for. So really in our house, I'm the project manager. And on Christmas Eve, we're doing a big Christmas meal. We've done it on Christmas Day previously, but we go to town on that. We like cooking. So there's a lot of prep work that needs to be thought about and planned, even though I might not be able to do it yet. We're going to Lapland on the day that this episode is released. So that takes us out of action for the first 4 days of the school holidays, which means that I can't prep the gravy or anything like that. And I know that sounds silly, but these are all the things that are going through in my head. I've also got to make sure that all my social content is covered for the whole of the time off. I've got to make sure that there's new content released in Education Business Club as well. And all of these things are just kind of whizzing around in my head. I'm also aware of how I want to spend the time off, and I'm already thinking about things for the time off. And it just struck me, I was driving in the car on the way home from the supermarket, and I was just thinking about how I compartmentalize things. And this might be helpful for you. In my head, I'm just thinking, just get to Friday, think about the nativity, get the presents wrapped because I want all that to be done before we go away. Make sure all the content's done for all the different channels that I have. Do all of these things, then you switch. As soon as we get to the Sunday when we're going to go away, then we switch. And then it becomes about what I want the 3 weeks to be about, which I'll tell you about in a minute for me. And sometimes you just have to do that. Life is about habits. Sometimes you can't have the habits all at the same time. I'm somebody who struggles to keep all of the plates spinning all of the time. I'm better at spinning 3 plates for 2 weeks, and then in 2 weeks' time, spinning a different 3 plates for 2 weeks. And sometimes that's not helpful. Obviously, physical health, you have to do something more consistently than that. But other things, you can split them into little projects and you can compartmentalize to get things done. I thought it was worth mentioning just because that's how I have made sure I'm ready for this time off. So how I like to spend my time off then is doing personal development. I've said that before, but it's different to a business book, for example. And I've realised this shift. I think the more experienced I've become in business, the less I'll listen to a business book and the more I'll listen to a book about the brain or just the inner workings of your spirit or your soul and different things like that, because maybe I trust myself more in business, that I know what's what and the same things are coming round again. And I think the mentoring helps as well, because when we're mentoring clients, as I'm recording this, we're actually mentoring one of our businesses later. There's a lot of encouragement knowing that other people are facing the exact same problems that we've been through and being able to really support with that, not only from a practical point of view, where the business can move through it more quickly, but for the emotional support that we never had. And that's the bit I love about it. I feel like I'm getting a bit teary now. The emotional support that I felt we so needed that we didn't have, that's the magic of the mentoring. Real magic. Anyway, so I like to spend it on personal development. It might be re-listening to some books that have been quite profound that I know that I want to listen to again. Maybe I didn't take the actions that it says and I want to give time to that. It might be journaling. And in some senses, it is catching up. I used to use the Christmas holidays to catch up because I knew everyone would like down tools. And I still use them to catch up, but in a different way, to catch up on developing myself. And I do use that time to declutter in some ways myself. So I will do a little bit around the house in the run up to Christmas. I've been doing a lot of that anyway, because I think it's important to move things out of your life that don't need to be in your life anymore. But you can do it on a spiritual and personal level as well. You can declutter, you can move things out. And so it's about reconnecting with who I am and understanding myself again. And I find that really useful. So this episode has not been about you need to find a way to have 3 weeks off and then you need to listen to some books about the brain or personal development. This episode has been about what do you need to do to make sure that A, you decide the amount of time you're going to have off if you haven't already, and B, what you need to do to get that, and C, what is the most beneficial thing for you to do over the holiday period. You might be really burned out. You might just need to not do anything. You might need to not declutter. You might need to not listen to personal development, definitely not business books, and just chill and have some time with the family. Equally, you might feel quite rested and really need to prep for a big launch in January. And you might decide that you're going to have 3 days off and the rest of it you're going to work. But you're quite intentional about how you're going to do that, and you're not going to miss out on time with friends and family. You might decide, like me, that you want to do some more personal development, or you might decide that you're going to declutter loads of things. The important thing is that you need to reach inside and figure out how you can use this period to be really beneficial. We all know that people like to set goals in January and start new things. So it's an ideal time to really think about how you can prepare yourself ready for that moment to do something new. What is it that will benefit you? What's going to benefit you and then ultimately benefit the growth of your company, whether it's just a seed idea or whether you've been running the company for 10 years like me and you've got a big team and you're going for some really big goals. But how will this time that most people observe move you forward? How can you use it to be the most beneficial for you and your business? So next Monday is actually Christmas Day. You're not going to see me then because I am planning everything in advance so I can have these 3 weeks off. And so that was the episode that had to go so that I could make that happen. The next time you're going to hear from me is on New Year's Day. I wish you an amazing time, whether or not you celebrate Christmas. Have some good times with your family. Think about what's going to be beneficial for you and your company over this time. And the most important thing is to do it.
Thank you for listening to the Education Business Podcast. To get more information to grow your business, sign up at educationbusinessclub.co.uk.